I want to bring in NBC News reporter Ben Collins, who has been looking into the suspect. Ben, there's been talk of this manifesto. They have found a manifesto. Police are not yet confirming that the manifesto was tied to or written by the suspect that they have in custody, but that seems to be the working assumption at the moment. What do we know about this manifesto?
Yeah, so law enforcement does believe that this is manifesto. They haven't confirmed yet, but they do believe that. It was posted on 8chan, which is an extremist website, ostensibly, hours before the shooting. It was deleted shortly after the shooting happened. It's a wildly anti-immigrant manifesto. It's 3 pages of hatred against immigrants and people, viewed as basically invaders to the United States, where they believe, and people generally on this extremist forum where these people get radicalized, believe that there is only so much space or only so many jobs in this country, and it's being replaced by Mexican immigrants. And in his case, he also believed automation in this thing. So it is a racist and anti-immigrant manifesto that was posted on a site known exclusively for that. And by the way, this is not the first time this has happened. The Christchurch shooter, who killed 49 people, posted his manifesto on the same website. 4chan, which is like a sister site to 8chan. A month after that Christchurch shooting, there was a manifesto posted by the person who shot up a synagogue in San Diego. And last week, the Gilroy shooter, he posted, he told people to read a manifesto that has been posted to 4chan and 8chan literally hundreds of times. It's from the 1890s. I'm not sure he came about that in a library. So this is a real issue. There is a body count associated with this website now. And I think people are going to start having to look into it.
There's a body count associated with the website. You and I have talked about this really in the wake of almost every mass shooting that we've covered. For our viewers who don't understand 4chan and 8chan, what are they?
They're just extremist forums now. They used to be places where people could anonymously post things like art, or it was a big anime forum to start. 4chan has Japanese roots. 2chan, its predecessor, had that too. 8chan was created because 4chan, which is a wildly racist place on its politics forum, was simply not enough for them. 8chan is legions worse. And it is exclusively a place where people post about the upcoming race war, basically. That's where today, after the shooting, the shooter is viewed as a martyr. And that's what they're talking about right now on that website. This is a place where
I'm going to interrupt you in a moment because Joe Biden's going to be speaking in Las Vegas. He'll be reacting to this. But let me ask you, are there breadcrumbs or footprints leading up to this manifesto? I know that's probably secondary in what you're looking at. You'll start to look at this now. But as of now, is this a standalone, or was this person active on these forums?
It's hard to know. 8chan is an anonymous place, basically. You can post whatever you want to post. But if he knew how to get there and upload a PDF to their website, which is what he did, shortly before. In fact, he messed up uploading the PDF at first and then posted it again. He knew what he was doing. He knew exactly who he was targeting with this, and he was basically, it's a call to action. It's not simply just his beliefs on stuff. He's saying, I'm a part of a much larger thing. That's what this is about for these people. It's about taking down immigrants, and he is wholly aware of that, I'm sure.